Picture this: you find yourself in a dark, desolate place, stripped of all your possessions, your loved ones, and even your own identity. Every day is a painful struggle to survive, and the weight of despair seems unbearable. And yet, humanity has seen such atrocities and bared them bravely before. Even within unfathomable darkness, humans have found a thread of resilience that separates those who endure from those who succumb. What gives us the strength to endure unimaginable suffering? How can we find meaning even in the darkest of times? We can try to find answers to those questions by exploring the timeless masterpiece, Man's Search for Meaning, a gripping tale about one man's journey through the Holocaust where he tries to answer some of life's most profound questions. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, authored the profound and influential book Man's Search for Meaning. The book is split into two parts. The first part recounts Frankl's personal experiences in Nazi concentration camps in World War II, and the second part of the book dives into his psychological and philosophical theories. The three key insights from the book we're going to be discussing are the will to endure, freedom of attitude, love, and evil. He who has a why can endure anyhow. If you're convinced your life has meaning, a compelling reason to keep going, you'll have a stronger will and be better able to endure suffering. Frankl gives a number of examples of this phenomena throughout his book, such as the time when he was tasked with extreme physical labour in the icy conditions of the camp. He thought of his wife, and his desire to see her again helped him to endure through the suffering of that night. Another example Frankl gives is when he came across an inmate who was considering suicide. This inmate was a renowned scientist prior to his arrival into the camp. Frankl reminded the scientist that he had some unfinished work left to publish, and only he could see to that. The scientist, being reminded of his purpose outside of the camp, gave him a renewed sense of determination and a will to survive. This sense of purpose, the fact that he had some unfinished work left to publish and only really he could do it, gave his life meaning where he otherwise wasn't able to see any in the camp. And this meaning deterred the man away from suicide and in fact set his sights on determination and a will to survive. Frankl argues that the individual who believes his life has a purpose and a meaning is more resilient and more able to endure through suffering and the environment around it. So whilst having meaning can help us to endure through suffering and be more resilient, also lacking meaning and purpose can make it so we're more likely to succumb to our environment and the suffering around us. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing: to choose one's own attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. The freedom of attitude is the idea that whilst we may not have control over our external circumstances, we can choose how we respond to those circumstances. We can choose to live with dignity and spiritual independence. To illustrate this, Frankl points to the men who would walk through the huts of the concentration camp, giving away the last piece of their bread, consoling others, offering them advice, and generally responding positively even though the situation was bleak beyond belief. Although for these individuals they were living in some of the darkest circumstances and periods in human history, they still chose to respond positively to their environment, seeking out where they could make an impact and choosing to enact upon those. This is what Frankl meant by freedom of attitude. Although you may not be able to directly control your environment, you can choose how you respond to that. You can choose either to let the environment dictate how you respond, or you can choose to be a shining beacon of dignity and spiritual resilience in spite of what's going on around you. Frankl also coined the term tragic optimism, a concept which acknowledges the reality of inevitable suffering whilst emphasizing the potential for meaning and personal growth within that suffering. That isn't to say that you should suffer for no reason, but if you cannot change the circumstances surrounding your suffering, you can choose to still be optimistic in the face of that. The book also touches upon love and evil and explores how love can be another avenue for finding meaning throughout our lives. The love we have for others can become a powerful source of strength in our lives, allowing us to endure suffering and show kindness to our fellow human beings. Frankl also reflects on the extreme cruelty he witnessed in the camp, perpetrated by the camp guards but also prisoners known as capos. However, he also observes humanity and kindness both in the camp guards and other prisoners, illustrating that good and evil can coexist within individuals. This idea Frankl touched upon, that good and evil can be found almost anywhere within the camp guards or the prison inmates, was really quite interesting and humble in my opinion, because going through the concentration camp, going through the experiences that Frankl did, it would be really easy to paint individuals in broad strokes and say that all the camp guards were bad and all the prisoners were good. But Frankl observed that there were some camp guards who could show humanity and kindness, and this led him to decide that there wasn't a de facto good or evil individual, rather there were two races of men, decent men and indecent men, and both types of men could be found in all types of situations. Frankl also ends the book on a really interesting quote here, and I think it really does highlight the ability for good and evil to coexist within man. Our generation is realistic, for we have come to know man as he really is. After all, man is that being who invented the gas chambers of Auschwitz. However, he is also that being who entered those gas chambers upright, with the Lord's Prayer or the Shema Yisrael on his lips. In conclusion, Man's Search for Meaning is a timeless and thought-provoking exploration of the human spirit, resilience, and the quest to find purpose in the face of unimaginable suffering. The lessons from this book remind us of the power we have within to choose our own attitude, find meaning, and display love even in the darkest of times. As we reflect on Frankl's insights, we are called to embrace life's challenges and to find meaning and purpose in our own unique journey. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you pick up this book and read it for yourself. I enjoyed reading every minute of it, and it was such a pleasure, and I really enjoyed reviewing it as well. Thank you, and I hope you have a nice day.